How hard is it for quarterbacks not only to switch between, play callers during a game itself, but even just learning different, wordage from season to season? Now, I don't think the wordage changed with Doug and the OC this season, but if the play caller is new, this will be Trevor Lawrence's third play caller in 3 years. How difficult is that for a QB, let alone a younger guy that's trying to progress and, really establish himself as a guy in the NFL?
Connor, great question. First of all, you brought up another game where I would say the majority of people thought Jacksonville at home, playoff team, Texans, not a good team, right, in most people's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And CJ went out and had a great game, and they pulled off the mini upset there, right? Again, anything can happen in the league. Anything can happen. Every single week, there's teams that people think are the shits. They go out and put it together and figure something out, and have some rallying cry or some guys sticking together through adversity and making plays in crunch time and win a football game. So, congrats to Houston. CJ obviously had a great game. As far as your question goes, I think a lot of that's honestly overrated. I really do. I think if it's in the same system and different guy calling it, the only thing that's different is voice inflection and potential accents. I got to deal with the Pittsburghese of Mike McCarthy for 13 years, and you learn to really speak it well and to anticipate things and understand what he's calling. It's different when somebody else is calling it, who maybe speaks slower or enunciates better. Not saying it's better, because sometimes Mike would roll some things together and just based on the specific, things that you might hear in there, you knew exactly what it was, or he might say a certain play a certain way, and I could finish this sentence most of the time. But listen, when it's in the same system, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Honestly, when it's a new system, everybody runs very similar plays. The verbiage is definitely can be different, and that can be hard, especially if you go from numbers to concepts. That's the biggest change. If you go from numbers to concepts, and luckily I've never had numbers in my professional career. We ran numbers in college, both at Cal and at JUCO, so every route has associated number. So you have like 525 at post, or 989, or 826, or some of these concepts that everybody runs. But 826 might be called NCAA in a different offense because it's a base route. We have a post, you have a dig, and you have a shallow cross. 525 F post could be, in our system was like bash, two jet, double puma. So I've always been in a concept-based system. That's when it gets hard, is when you have concepts and you have to go to numbers. Mike Martz and his system was always numbers. There's still a few systems that use numbers. I think that's much more difficult. But if you're going concepts to concepts, it's just memorization. It's a little bit different. If you're staying in the same offense, a new guy calls it, again, it's preferential on what that person is going to call. But I think it's a little overrated to say what a big change is going to be in a new system. The offensive coordinator, like in Philly, the offensive coordinator got a job, right, and they got a new guy calling it last night. It's the same offense. Different preferences, same offense. You had the same thing happen a couple other places where same system, new guy calling it, and it's just a little bit of that. I think
isn't that a talent though? Calling plays, when to call the plays, isn't that a talent that people speak about? There's like some people that are elite, some people that are not, or is that kind of blown out of proportion?
No, that's definitely not blown out of proportion. There is elite play callers, and there's ones that aren't, for sure.
What is that? More feel?
It's feel and personality. You have to know when to be aggressive. You have to know when to back off. There's creative things. Again, everybody runs a lot of the same stuff, but there's creative wrinkles. Like, look at Miami, what they did. And Miami, Mike's done a great job down there. But some of the shit that they were running was, wow. They ran the same play twice. They ran that no-look shovel pass twice for touchdowns, right? There's a lot of different things that they were doing in that game. So you got to mix the creativity, maybe not doing too much, doing enough that you can handle, with also some base stuff and changing the face of it. And Miami's, a great example of tailoring your specific offense to exactly what you have personnel-wise. You have two of the fastest receivers in the entire league, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, right? And what they've been doing to turn it into as close as you can to the Canadian Football League, where you have guys who are getting running starts before the play. I mean, last year, a lot of it was side to side. They'd start a guy, Tyreek on the left, fly him over to the right, and then get him going. Now you're seeing Tyreek start maybe in like a snug position, like right off the tackle, and then flying out to the left, same side. and running a route. And it's ways to stress the defense with that incredible speed and stop and start ability that him and Jalen has. And then obviously Tua has been in a really good rhythm to start the season, which I'm happy to see because, he dealt with some really difficult injury stuff last year. But yeah, they're 70 points.
So
I haven't seen that. I don't think I've ever seen that in my 19 years in the league. And it was 70 with like plenty of time left in the fourth.
Mike White got a deep ball in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mike White put one on him and speaking of what you just talked about there with Miami, Darius has a question for you.
Yeah, you talked about, now we got two lifetime Dolphins in here. First of all, myself and Gump back there. So we're pretty excited about that 70 points as well. But you talked about
He has 6 teams. This guy has 6 teams.
Oh, they got 4 right now.
Including the Colts?
Dolphins has been my team 37 years.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
of course. Yeah, of course.
Football home.
Neither here nor there.
Hey, neither here nor there. But to your point, they specifically tailored that offense around Tua, around those weapons. But I know motion shifts, those things are tough on defenses, especially when they're done right before the snap. What Mike does a lot on offense. Why don't more offenses do it? I'm assuming it's tougher with install wise. And what was your preference with that? What is your preference with that as a quarterback as far as motions and shifts?
Yeah. I like it's the same thing. I think that's hard with defenses. So if a defense is going to just sit in the same shell all game long, right, and not move, and then from that shell play down right, down left, too high, quarters, quarter, half, pressure, one high fire zone, empty pressure from the same look, that's tough. Or if guys are moving around all the time, right, always moving around, that can be tough as well. Same thing on the offensive side of the ball. I think if you're constantly motioning, right, that can make it difficult. Or if you just stay still and run everything from a still alignment, that can be very difficult too. See, think about some of the best offenses in the last 20 years. When Peyton was in Indy, they rarely ever motioned. It was all 2x2 and 3x1, and everything was from the same type of alignment. So you never could get a beat on, okay, they're in a 1x3 and they're in a cut split. They always run one of 3 plays. No, they're in 2x2 and 3x1, and they run everything, from those formations. Yep. That can be very difficult. And also, with all the motions and the shifts, that can be difficult too. Now, there's a way to combat that the defenses have done, which is, working on bringing pressures off some of the fly motions and them moving as well, which can make protections a little bit difficult. But I think sometimes the motion is a little overrated. I think if some of these plays I see where you're starting to empty, then you shift to, I right, and then you bump the fullback to the left to run outside zone weak. It's like, all right, you're starting empty. You motion down to a 3x1, you fly a motion, and then you run duo. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you're an old man though.
Unless you're setting something up, like a lot of this shit is just for like window dressing, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
But if you're motioning for a purpose, right, to get some sort of adjustment or somebody out of position or stress a gap control, that I think can be really, really useful. And, we did it in Green Bay a lot. A lot of that's in the offense in Jersey as well. So, but yeah, great question, D.
Hey, go ahead, AJ.
So what does it look like when you're watching these games? Is it tough for you, or do you get sad? Do you get pissed? Like, what is it? And can you actually watch a game like fans watch? Or are you like the old savvy QB that has to like sit there and tell everybody, oh, what he should have done here, he should have checked down and thrown in the second window? Or are you able just to be there and watch?
The former, I guess I would say, more than the latter. Listen, I'm a very very good lip reader as well. So when they show Hack on the sidelines or they show Zach in the huddle, I'm like lip reading to see what the play is, so I know what's coming. Obviously, I know all the checks. A lot of them, I made up or put in. So I know most of the plays, I would say, based on formation and if I can lip read. But it's tough. It's tough because I have absolutely zero impact on the game, and it's a tough place to be. Even when you're a backup, and you're on the sidelines like I was for 3 years, there's something in you that goes, you know what? I did all this research this week. I gave, Brett, my own breakdown of each corner.
That's
and
a compliment.
Like I used to do. And, now now I'm, I gave the guys good work on the look team this week. I feel like I made some sort of impact. Like there's something that maybe happened during the week that could impact the game. But when you're just sitting your ass at home on the couch, try not to have anybody talk to you during the game because, as you guys probably know, you guys both played, you played.
Yep.
Like a lot of people are experts at football. They love to talk loudly when they're watching games. So I just have a strict hey, don't ask me a lot of questions during the game if you're there watching with me. Let me just watch, be in my own feelings on this. But, it was tough to watch for sure, disappointing. But listen, man, life goes on. You got to build from the adversity. This is going to test us. How do we respond this week against a real good football team, the defending champs in our home? Be interesting to see how our fans respond too. I hope you show up. Don't be selling a bunch of those damn tickets to the Kansas City crowd and Fireman Ed. Let's be loud. Let's get that thing going and you never know who you're gonna see at the game.
Roll your ass. Time. They see him rolling at MetLife. Okay, I don't want to go backwards here, but thinking about you watching the game, having to go through what retired players have to go through the first week when they're not playing, have you thought about that at all? Like, this is what retirement would kind of look like right now. Am I okay with this? Is there weird feelings? Like when that national anthem plays and you're sitting at home and they're scanning it all and you're out of control of anything. Have you thought about that? This is what the future looks like, and what are your thoughts on it?
I did think about that the first week, and the first thought that came to my mind is I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch in the same way, honestly. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sit my ass on the couch and watch a whole game or watch the Red Zone channel the first year. I think that's going to be tough. That was kind of every confirmation I needed that I'm not done, that I want to keep playing, because I'm not just ready to find something else to do on my Sundays. Like I'm still invested. I still love it, and living and dying with every play, watching our boys and pulling for them to figure it out and stick together and get through this tough stretch right now.
A lot of dying right now. Let's get to living. I think they'll be able to figure it out. We'll stick together. We'll stick positive. Ty has a question for you, Aaron.
Aaron, you mentioned the Packers game on Sunday where they just looked absolutely atrocious through 3 quarters, and then Jordan kind of willed them to a victory in the 4th quarter, and he kind of had a moment where he went to the crowd after the game when it was certain that they were going to win. I'm just curious, how acutely aware are you of a moment like that when it's happening, where it's kind of like, hey, this is kind of my opportunity. This is my team now. Do you think he was aware of that in the moment? And do you remember that moment for you post Brett when you first started? And it was like, oh, okay, this is actually my show now.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say again, that was incredible last week with Lou.
Thank you.
Just the fact you guys did that, incredible job. Thank you for that.
Have you seen the answer? Did you see yesterday?
What was yesterday?
Ty's best work. I'm not even downplaying this. Yesterday was Ty's best work. You need to see it. It's an answer to Ryan Day. It's an answer to Ryan Day, who called out Lou Holtz after the game. It's worth watching. Yeah, it's 4 minutes, I think. Definitely worth watching. We'll send it over. Anyways, sorry about that.
Send it over. And why is Ryan Day trying to attack Lou Holtz? Come on.
It's awesome. It's awesome.